Hello there. Welcome back to Cinema Flicks Music Picks. I'm Dave, the host with the most, the beast with the least. Well, least I can do today is, frankly, take off this Tom Baker scarf because it's scorcho in here. Absolutely scorcho. Doctor Who or no, get to. You can come back in the autumn. So, I don't do ranking videos really. In fact, I don't. Don't know why I did the really, but I thought, organising all my Doctor Who collection, and I thought, although I'm not a massive fan of ranking videos in general, making them, I like watching them. So, and I know Doctor Who inside and out, backwards and forwards, upside down, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. So why not? Why not rank New Who, as it were? And in the odds are that I prefer it. This is the bit where people add things like, of course, this is just my opinion. Everybody's got one. You may disagree. That's fine. No, this is the right answer. So if yours is different, and I even dug out the 50th anniversary wristband that we got at the cinema, and the police public call box that we got when the BBC shop was closing down. And, oh, I missed the BBC shop when they used to get everything to you like 2 weeks early. Anyway, enough of waffling. Let's crack on. I've organised them into 13. Yes, because it's not really fair to assess a whole season versus a couple of specials. So 13. Oh, 13! To quote the General, you know, Ken Bones. There's none here that I hate. There's no equivalent of season 24 in the classic series. None here that I have an absolute massive dislike for, but at the bottom in number 13 is, well, number 13, Jodie's first season. Is the 11th series. And just like the Steelbook design itself, it stands out in a million different ways. I was very excited when Jodie was cast. I like her as an actress. I love Chris Chibnall as a writer, not always in Doctor Who, but as a standalone writer and other things, I've always liked him. But this first run, it was so safe and timid, and Jodie had no real, what is she? What is her personality that defines her to stand alone from other doctors? She didn't have one, but we got some great episodes like Rosa, like the partition of Pakistan and India episodes. We got that wonderful, so it takes you away, the kind of almost Neil Gaiman like episode or Guillermo del Toro like episode. But we also got such mediocrity. Tim Shaw is your big bad? I don't think so. Ghost Monument, and then what's the last episode called? The Battle of. I mean, the most forgettable finale of all the seasons. Yeah, it's very much a finding your feet kind of affair. So sorry, Jodie. I don't want to join in with some of the people who put you at the bottom, but yeah, just that season though, because next up, Tempers of Hate. I'm putting David Tennant's first season. So series 2. I just don't click with Ten and Rose the way that other people do. Yeah, again, we've got great episodes in here. I mean, I love The Girl in the Fireplace. Army of Ghosts and Doomsday is a cool, epic RTD kitchen sink finale. School Reunion's got some great stuff in it, but it's not a great episode. It's more like Demon Head Master or something, but it gets by just for bringing back Sarah Jane and K9. But so many in this are just, I mean, the Rise of Cybermen Age of Steel, not a great Cyberman reintroduction. The Satan Pit's cool, but undercooked. And then we've got Love and Monsters and Fear Her, which is possibly the worst back-to-back episode since the show came back. So again, I know this is quite beloved and they're a really beloved pairing, but I'm not a massive fan of this series at all. Not at all. I very rarely rewatch it apart from real favourites. Although you'll see a theme here that I'm not just going by these are my favourite Doctors, because we've got another Doctor here. It's the 8th series, so Capaldi's first. So they're all first runs, yeah. So very much kind of following the theme of finding their feet. Yeah, there's just so much in this that I thought was fascinating in premise, and then Stephen Moffat didn't seem to know where to take it ultimately. The whole "am I a good man? Does it really matter? I'm just trying to do my best." Well, that's kind of always been there. Danny Pink, who forgotten already. But again, we've got some wonderful stuff in here. The Mummy and the Orient Express flatline double bill from Jamie Matheson is absolutely stunning. Missy is one of the best additions to Doctor Who. And it's got some terrific stuff in comedy with Robot of Sherwood. It's got some really cool low-key and hard sci-fi in a way in Listen. There's also some bonkers stuff with Kill the Moon, but overall, it's just kind of middling. And just like Capaldi's trying to find his feet as the Doctor, so is the show, really. It doesn't really know how to reintroduce an older actor for a generation that's grown up just knowing the Doctor as a younger man. And it feels almost embarrassed at times. But yeah, some good moments indeed. So, yeah. Here's the first twofer that I'm pairing together, and that is back to Jodie, unfortunately, but Flux and then the specials that we just had. Yeah, these were compromised by COVID, so it's kind of unfair to imagine what we might have had if COVID wasn't a factor. But you can only go by what you do get, and I thought Flux was kind of terrific in places. There was some wonderful stuff in it with some Tarans. I think it's the best Taran stuff the new series has done. But ultimately, it doesn't follow through with its own ideas. I mean, Yaz and Professor Jericho were traveling together with Dan for years in the universe, but she's more attached to Jodie, who she can't be traveling with for that long. But in the universe, she's lived, 2 or 3 years with Dan and Professor Jericho in the early 20th century. So, it just doesn't follow through in its own ideas. The Great Serpent, Craig Parkinson, what is he doing here? I love him as an actor, but they don't do anything with that. Yeah, there's just so many little things that don't go anywhere, and trying to do a bit more with the Timeless Child stuff doesn't work. Yeah, all a bit of a letdown, really. All a bit of a letdown. I really liked the notion of where it was potentially going, but as we know, it didn't really follow up on much of the Timeless Child stuff, which again a lot of people will be happy about, but I kind of liked. Hence, you've not seen it in the list yet. But Sea Devils is awful. It's just it's not awful. It's a run of the mill. There's nothing special about it for that to be in something called specials. But Eve of the Daleks is the best Chibnall Leader festive special, and the Power of the Doctor is a fantastically fan servicey run around, which was tremendous. And Sacha Dhawan as the Master, brilliant stuff. Great to see Ace back. So it's getting a few nostalgia points, but overall, it's Chibnall just kind of giving in to the notion that, well, I guess people didn't love my Timeless Child stuff, so I won't really finish it. Have the courage of your convictions, but as we know from interviews he's subsequently given, the BBC weren't really letting him have that chance. Next up is another twofer, actually. It's Series 7 with the 50th anniversary specials. Series 7 was so weird. I mean, it was one of those split seasons to begin with, and it had, what was Moffat's line, every episode was like a movie. Well, some movies aren't very good, Steve. Dinosaurs on a spaceship, no, Town Called Mercy. I mean, that first half is so forgettable. Power of Three. I mean, we know the reshoots that had to go on there because of a certain actor spitting the dummy. Angels Take Manhattan's cool. I really like that as an Angel episode. But, if you think it through about all the ways that doesn't really write Amy and Rory out of the whole show and doesn't quite hold up. The second half's got some much better stuff in the Crimson Horror, which is very it's the most Mark Gatiss episode ever. But even that's got Journey to the Centre of TARDIS and Nightmare in Silver, which were just atrocious episodes. I love the Name of the Doctor, though. That's phenomenal. Fan service, but with a meaning. I really loved that, going through the actual notion of what the Doctor stands for. And that very much follows into the special season, or the 50th anniversary specials. Obviously, amazing to have John Hurt as the Doctor. Grandad! So great to have him. But although he didn't make the cover, I'm bumping this up because Paul McGann came back. The first Doctor Who I saw new was in 1996 when I was 11, the TV movie. And then I bought all the BBC books, so excited, and all the Big Finish audios with the Eighth Doctor. To this day, I still get them. Paul McGann to be back, wow, fantastic. That's the best thing about this set, though. I mean, I love the anniversary special. Again, I went to see it on the big screen. Love the Day of the Doctor itself. It was big, it was stupid, it was bizarre, it was bonkers, it was a cool Zygon episode. And Time of the Doctor was a lovely low-key way to finish Matt's whole story. It's a very fairy tale ending, and that's where his whole story began. So I really like the way they ended Matt's run as the Doctor, but there's just too much in this to kind of pull it down. So, fair to middling, but we are in the kind of middle of the pack here. Next up is Series 12, plus the Resolution special. There's Sasha Dewan and Jodie there. This is so much better. I mean, yeah, this has got the timeless child arc that people don't love. But I do. I love that the Chibnall expanded the universe and he brought in Joe Martin. Oh my, I love you so much. You're not the fugitive Doctor, you're just the Doctor. They're all the Doctor to me, to quote Missy. I mean, some wonderful, wonderful episodes throughout this run. Some great stuff, some absolutely terrific stuff. The finale, did it stick the landing? I guess not for a lot of people, but I thought it was epic and well deserved. It just had some cool episodes right throughout it, really. Good way to write out Toss and Cole and Bradley. By the way, these steelbook protectors, you should invest in them if you get the Doctor Who steelbooks, because they're a bit flimsy. You don't want to dent these because they go out of print and that's you. But yeah, these steelbook protectors, you get them for like 20 for 10, and you can just slide them in with that. It's nice and easy. So this was Jodie's best work for me. She found her footing right from Spyfall on. Fantastic stuff. And when O did the reveal, that was fantastic. I was a little bit at the time because we'd done such great stuff with Missy. Now we're just going back to the Master's evil because it's the Master. But his performance was so fun, I didn't really mind. Next up, Matt's second outing, Series 6. This very much being the Silence series. And again, this was the first split series we had, so it was a bit patchy. Even at the time, it felt like we weren't getting a full run. It felt like a specials era because we had two short runs. The Impossible Astronaut Day of the Moon production values were insane. I loved the mystery that it set up. Did it stick the landing of the Who's River song? For me, yeah. I mean, it tied into itself, which I like, rather than being it's the Rani. I'm happy with that. I love, obviously, the Doctor's wife. I think that's a fan favorite by now. The Rebel Flesh and the Almost People kind of was middling, but then that set up so much more that was going to come. That was really cleverly done. Good Man Goes to War is just, I love it. I mean, it's non-stop, really. It's the highest of highs and not the lowest of lows. Was Vastra's line, "You'll rise farther than you've ever risen before and then sink," blah blah blah. The one. But then you get the second part of the series. Let's Kill Hitler was great clickbait title when it came up at the end of series 6 part 1, but the episode itself was not the most interesting way to tell you how River became good after being, programmed. I don't think they really did much with the whole River as an evil character in the first place. And then there's just mediocre night terrors, the girl who waited, the god complex, closing time. But the Wedding of River song's a cool finale. I liked that. And that's some deep cuts, man. Bringing back Simon Cowell just to be on the TVs, Charles Dickens. That was brilliant. That was brilliant. Next up is series 3. So Freema's only one as Martha. This is one where the highs are raising it way higher than some of the stuff in this season, because really, to me, it's all about human nature. This run, actually, human nature, family of blood, Blink, Utopia, Sound of Drums, Last of the Time Lords. In Utopia, from the second we start to click that Yana is, old school fans are hearing Anthony Ainley's laugh and going, "How's the master?" It was just so exciting. Then to see him actually regenerate into John Sim, reborn. And I love John Sim doing the very much Moriarty to the Doctor's homes. It's the first time they've really done that since Pertwee and Delgado, a mirror image of each other, with the Doctor can be young, all that stuff. But there is some mediocre stuff that's keeping it from the real top tier, like Smith and Jones. It's fun enough, but come on. No Bocho Fuffle. Shakespeare Chord, Gridlock, Father Dougal was a cat, no thank you. And the worst Daleks episode for me is the two-parter, Daleks in Manhattan and Evolution of the Daleks. And 42 loses a few points for reusing so many beats and sets from the Satan Pit. But overall, it's up there just because there's so many amazing episodes in it that it kind of cancels out the bad stuff. Kind of the reverse of this. I'm going with Series 9. The complete Series 9. Because they put on so many bloody specials in this one, because it was that period where we had a massive gap here. The Magician's Apprentice and The Witch's Familiar, wonderful use of Missy. It really sets up Missy's face turn when she, series 10. But wonderful use of Missy, amazing use of Davros. It felt huge. It was a real spectacular way to open the series. Wonderful, playful, Missy, wonderfulness. I mean, to me, the Magician's Apprentice is all about Missy. The Witch's Familiar is all about Doctor and Davros, but it's a great double bill. And it was very much the period of double bills, because then you get the Under the Lake Before the Flood double, which was, I thought, kind of spooky and cool. I quite liked some of the stuff in that. Though it did break my rule of they congratulated themselves for casting a deaf actress quite a lot. And then the only reason they've cast a deaf actress is because the character needs to be deaf. Well, that's not something to pat yourself in the back over. You needed her to be deaf. I wasn't crazy about the girl who died, women who lived double. Just felt like hey, Game of Thrones fans might like it if Maisie Williams is running about in a vaguely medieval-looking setting. Yeah, did nothing for me. That character, a shoulder, did nothing. The Zygon stuff, really cool follow-up to aspects of the 50th anniversary episodes. Spectacular in places. Capaldi's epic speech. A little bit long, but I'm sure you can make a really good supercut. Just getting rid of a few things here and there. Face the Raven, Heaven Sent, Hellbent. Wow, 3 more different episodes you couldn't get. Face the Raven is Maisie Williams' best performance. It's not saying much, but it's a great way to write out Clara, or so we think. And then Heaven Sent is one of my favourite episodes of all time. Absolute brilliance. Capaldi essentially doing a single-hander. Unreal. What he does in that episode. Wow. Unreal. None of the other Doctors could have done that quite the same way. They might have done it differently, but none of them could have done it the same way as Capaldi. Stunning. Hellbent, I know, divided a lot of people because it did have the what's the hybrid? Maybe it's the Friends way, made all along. Okay, So the hybrid, is it just the Doctor? What is it? Who is it? What am I the hybrid? Nobody knows. I don't think Stephen Moffat knows. So yeah, I think it was setting up a mystery box that it didn't really know the answer to itself, which bit of a cardinal sin, but I still like aspects of having been that whole kind of spaghetti western feel of the Doctor back on Gallifrey. That was so badass with silent moments where Capaldi's refusing to talk and drawing the line in the sand and taking, he took down Rassilon with a spoon, man. Yeah, cool stuff. Cool stuff. Next up, the first season by Christopher Eccleston. I think it's his best season, and also his worst because he obviously only did one. However, he's back doing Big Finish and wonderful on it too. So bless him for that. 2005, March 2005. I remember going to the pub to watch Scotland versus Italy. We get beat, and yeah, that was the night Rose debuted, and I went to the pub after that. I refused to miss Doctor Who coming back after all those years. There's obviously teething trouble here. You can tell that the RTD is kind of working out how childish, how adult it can go, in different directions. So you do get the Slitheen and thing, the burping bin, blah blah blah. Unfortunately, half the actors in this have subsequently been cancelled due to their John Barrowman, Noel Clarke, Todd from Coronation Street, all for very different but rather similar reasons. And not to the same extent. I'm not comparing what John Barrowman did to what the other two did. Then you get some amazing episodes, though. I mean, Stephen Moffat's coming out party with that double bill in World War II. Phenomenal. Eccleston's best performance. Everybody lives Rose, just this once. Oh, brilliant stuff. Dalek, his most intense performance, almost frightening. I mean, that's the real rage of the Time Lord. Father's Day is the first good timey wimey kind of thing that we get in the series. Even though it's not Moffat, it's Paul Cornell. It's brilliant stuff. I said the Aliens of London World War III for the twofer in World War II. That's obviously the Empty Child and the Doctor Dances. I do beg your pardon. And I like Boomtown. I know some people don't, but I really like the scene with the Doctor and Margaret Slitheen sitting down and having dinner and the farce, but then the tragedy that she's going to be executed, and the finale. I mean, when it broke very soon after the series started that David Tennant was joining because Chris Eccleston was leaving, it was like, are you kidding me? Are you shitting me? We're losing the Doctor already. In retrospect, a good idea for a couple of reasons. One, it got us the most popular new series Doctor, whether or not I think it's the best or not, which I don't, but for marketing purposes and everything, he brought the shows to a new height. And second of all, it reintroduced the idea of regeneration very early into the show. So probably in retrospect, it was a good thing. So yeah, now that Eccleston's back playing the character on audio, it's not quite as sad to watch anymore. Next up is, I think, my final twofer. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It is Series 4 with the specials. So essentially the Dr. Donna era. Series 4 has some guff. I do not like that run of Sontaran's Stratagem, Poison Sky, Doctor's Daughter, the Martha reunion, basically. But then you hit into Silence in the Library, River Song's debut. Wow. You've got Unicorn and the Wasp, which is one of the best farce episodes they've ever done, the Agatha Christie episodes. That was hilarious, played totally for Catherine Tate's best strengths. Turn Left again shows that Catherine Tate can do so much more than just farce. That's her showcase to say, hey, look at me act. And she breaks your bloody heart in that episode and throughout, even in little scenes in the Fires of Pompeii where she rescues the Doctor, Capaldi, or the Planet of the Oods, she's crying, things. She very early sets the tone. And I love the scene with Donna and the Doctor seeing each other for the first time through all that stuff. That was great. And then the massive finale, Journey's End, Stolen Earth, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Is it too big? Is it everything but the kitchen sink? Yeah, but it's Russell T Davies, and they knew it was their last full series. It was always going to be that. So very much as the Avengers Assemble of Doctor Who. But does anybody care now? I mean, we couldn't do it with those people anymore because, again, no Barrowman. Unfortunately, no Les Sladen. So, I'm grateful we did. And it was a great way to reintroduce Davros, It was a brilliant way to, save him for after we've seen so many Dalek episodes. They've not overused Davros. I give them a lot of kudos for that. And the specials actually are bringing this down a little bit. This would probably be number 2 on my list if it wasn't for the specials. But the next Doctor, it's not great. David Morrissey's great in it, but Planet of the Dead's abysmal, absolutely abysmal. It's not special at all. That's the equivalent of the Sea Devils episode with Jodie, where the only thing special about it is that they filmed on location in, was it Saudi Arabia? They took a bus over there. Well, I'm glad you had a nice trip, guys, but it's not making for terribly good entertainment. And they set up a whole unit division that we've never seen again. Kate Stewart must have fired them. Waters of Mars, I don't like as much as most people, because it didn't do anything with that great ending. The whole Time Lord Victorious, which last year or 2 years ago now they did the whole. We're doing a Time Lord Victorious range, and I thought finally they're going to expand that into an idea, and that was a letdown. But yeah, I mean, it was Time Lord Victorious for 2 minutes, not even that, before he went, "Oh, what have I done? I've become too big." Oh, that should have been the special. The Doctor is the bad guy in the first episode of his goodbye. Instead, we get a very mopey goodbye. Where honestly, when he was, I don't want to go. I was like, I wish you would. I wish you would. By this point, you're really starting to get on my tits. But so much fun stuff too. Timothy Dalton, on your knees, mankind. Brilliant stuff. Bernard Cribbins as an official companion, amazing. John Sim as the master. Not too sure about the hungry flesh meats and what cannibal flying master. But there's some legendary stuff on this, especially on this. And even though I have reservations with the end, come on, it's the last 10 minutes. It is iconic. Yeah, the whole I don't want to go stuff. My second favourite season of Doctor Who, and again, I've got this higher than probably 99% of viewers, is Capaldi's last. With Bill, the only run that she had, Permaki. I love this. I absolutely adore this. It's the most liberated Capaldi. I love Nardole with Matt Lucas playing him. Capaldi's much freer and looser. I think he works better as the professor character and a mentor character rather than the Series 9, the duty of care with Clara, where it always felt like, yeah, you should really be dropping her off, though. I get they were trying to do the still got residual feelings from being the 11th Doctor for her, but for me, this is where they really, new coat paint really helped here. And I don't think the episodes and places are fantastic, but I love some of the stuff it's all about performances. And Moffat was going to leave before this season. What's the old classic? I have been persuaded to stay for John Nathan Turner. So he was kind of convinced to stay on and find his own replacement kind of thing. And because Moffat didn't plan anything, I think working on the hoof really liberated him, just like Capaldi. Because the pilot is so fun. It's such a great introduction to character, such a great reintroduction to the Doctor with him working literally as a lecturer. Smile's a cool episode, really clean and futuristic and thin ice. When what's his name? Nathan Barley. When Nathan Barley, can't remember the actor's name, sorry, does his racist speech and Powdery punches him. It's one of my favourite scenes. And then you get that really expanded story arc, where one goes into the next, the knock knock oxygen extremis, where the Doctor's blinded, and it's a bit angels and demons, and it's a bit apocalyptic, and it's brilliant stuff in places, really dark, really twisted, and with a really fun sense of humor. But that all comes from a sci-fi kind of space opera thing, which I really like. With Oxygen, I'm blind. That was so over the top. I love that ending. And then you get the trilogy with the monks, which I loved, especially that last episode. We think the Doctor's been somehow brainwashed and he's working with the monks. The monks. Um, the weird that we had the headless monks, and then we've got these monks, and we obviously had the meddling monk with Hartnell and on Big Finish. Lots of monks in Doctor Who. And then World Enough in Time, especially when you happen to be someone's former prime minister. What, yeah, anybody who knew it was happening knew that was Johnson, but come on, it was still a great moment. The whole genesis of the Cybermen thing was hilarious. That was a great pun. And the Doctor Falls is one of my, no, I think it is my favorite televised episode, actually. I always say the Holy Terror on audio, but on TV, I think it still is the Doctor Falls. It's brilliant, and that's the regeneration story for people that always moan about Capaldi's last one, the one with the first Doctor, with David Bradley, Twice Upon a Time. That's a real contemplative look at whether or not you want to keep on living. He dies here. This is his death. You see his death early in the last episode here. It just takes one more episode to die. So I've got no problem with the next episode special not being massive, because here at the end you've got two masters and every Cyberman ever. I think that's enough to be getting on with. So yeah, this is brilliant stuff. I adore the performances here. I think it's just sublime, and there's only one that beats it for me, and that is from spring 2010, Matt Smith's first season, series 5. This is the best Doctor Who, man. Consistently over a season. I don't think it's individually the best, but I was so ready. As I said, Tenet was getting so mopey towards the end, the way it was written. It just felt like everybody was kind of believing their own press a little bit. And I was kind of like, oh, please, hurry up and get Matt Smith in. And boy, does he hit the ground running. It was such a relief not to do the whole regeneration, causing them to have to go to the zero room or have to change into pajamas and lie down for the first episode and then save none of that nonsense here. Straight in with a fire truck. Again, very fairy tale like season, just like as the last episode, right throughout it, from literally being the madman in the box at the end of the garden for little Amelia. And yeah, there's a couple of duffers here. The Beast Below, I think, was even after episode 1 was so amazing. Even the next week it was like, oh, but then I loved Victory of the Daleks. That was a really cool way of reusing the Daleks. Kind of cribs a little bit from Power of the Daleks from Troughton's era, but I don't mind because that's so cool. Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone, amazing two-parter. The best use of the angels outside of Blink, I think. Amy's Choice, well, it gets bonus points for having Toby Jones in it, for goodness sake. That'll do. And that's a cool alt reality thing. The Hungry Earth and Cold Blood, I love as a reintroduction for the Silurians and whatnot. Then we get a masterpiece that's Vincent and the Doctor. Obviously, that's what inspires the Steelbook artwork here. It's just stunning. It's one of the greatest pieces of television ever. And when I see people moaning about that episode's villain and the monster, it's just a blind turkey, an invisible blind turkey. I think it's not really about that though. It's about depression and Vincent Van Gogh realizing his place in history, and Amy realizing that although she can change his week, she can't change his destiny and change his life. So yeah, they can give him that moment of seeing his future, but he's still going to be mad. He's still going to lose his mind and his life. Yeah, meet the sad end. But that scene where Bill Nye is revealing, what he thinks of Van Gogh. that mad man in Provence, and the way Tony Curran sells it as Vincent. Oh, with the track playing, is it by Elbow? I think Elbow did that song. It was so good. The Lodger, okay, if we have to have James Corden, this isn't a bad way to use him. And then the Pandorica opens and the Big Bang, I thought were just brilliant. I love that the Pandorica opens gives you the big epic, all right, come on and face me then, and it's everybody, everywhere, all at once. All his villains joining up to face the Doctor, and Matt doing what Matt does best, these big epic speeches. Come on, man. Um, who's first? And then what do you do to follow that up? Do you go big? Do you have him fighting in billion Daleks to quote the 50th special? No, you go small. So it goes back to Amy Pond's garden and he's putting things to the letterbox and wibbly wobbly timey wimey. It's the very essence of Stephen Moffat to do this with Doctor Who, that last episode with the stone Dalek and things. It's phenomenal. Wonderful stuff. And yeah, there's quibbles that you can make that this is the beginning of Doctor Who being a bit more detached because we meet Amy's family at the end, she's got them back and then we never see them again. We never ever see them again. Similar thing happens with Rory. We meet his dad, Brian, for two episodes. Well, that short thing, I'm including that short PS thing written by Chris Chibnall. But we don't. Moffat's not too interested in the family thing, whereas RTD was all about that. So for some people, there isn't that connection, that family appeal. It's a gang. It very much is family. When the Doctor and Amy are just escaping for adventures and then bring Rory along. I mean, that's really the spirit of Doctor Who for me. It's not about. I hate to use the soap opera term because people use that in a derogatory way to describe Russell T Davies, but to me, it's always been very much not leave your life behind. You're coming on an adventure in space and time, and that's exactly what this is. And it's sublime. It's my favorite series of modern Who. Where do we go next? Well, we go to the 60th even, with as we know, Jodie becoming what? David Tennant all over again. So why is that? Why is the 10th Doctor now the 14th Doctor, and Chip is going to be the 15th Doctor? Which is really odd because Big Finish are also doing a Degeneration 60th anniversary thing launched yesterday. I guess it can't be too similar, or the BBC wouldn't let them do it, but I'm looking forward to seeing, once more around the block. And it's the first episodes that are going to be sold to Disney, isn't it, for worldwide distribution. So might as well get your iconic actor back, rather than sorry, Jodie, but you're not iconic to the rest of the world. So get Tennant back, throw him in for a couple of episodes, and then launch Shooty's actual series from that. I think it was a smart business decision, if a little bit cynical at the same time, but I'm still looking forward to it. And from what I hear, we're going to get some, some amazing fan service. So, yeah. I won't say because spoilers. Anyway, and look, Forbidden Planet even have the beanie of the 60th anniversary finally. Yeah, thank you, Forbidden Planet, folks. Just a ramble about my show. Thanks very much if you've made it this far. If you haven't, then no point me thanking you. But as always, stay very safe out there. I know it's been a epic, but the usual. What's coming up next? I don't know. Probably some music reviews, some film reviews. That's kind of the gist of the channel. But until then, love, mercy.